My second favorite season is spring. My number one season is fall. And what the team and I have decided is that we are going to do a series over the next several weeks on spring cleaning and cleaning not only your sales systems, but also your sales mindset. So, video number one in this series is all about spring cleaning and getting rid of mindsets that no longer serve you. Tune in. I am so excited. Well, first of all, as I stated in the intro, my second favorite season is spring. My number one all-time favorite is the fall. I really love that transition. And it probably is because of where I live. I live where it's quite warm during the summer. So fall is that welcome break from the intense heat that we experience here in Arizona and Phoenix during the summers. And so I am really excited because we're doing a series on spring cleaning. And one of the things that I have noticed, and it's interesting, I recently had a conversation with a colleague, and she was asking me about like some of the mindsets and things that I've noticed. Not so much mindsets, but it really is tied to mindset, but more some of the sales tactics that we see in the industry that are just kind of like, really? And her question was, are people still doing this in a post-COVID type of, era, if you will? And as we're, fingers crossed, that's where we're headed. And so as we were, having that conversation, one of the things that it brought up was that there are those that have definitely tuned in and identified old thinking or old strategies that no longer serve them. And obviously, there are those people that haven't. And so today, I wanted to just talk a little about, those mindsets that impact us. A lot of times I do trainings, and it's really around mindsets that hold us back from even asking for the sale, right? So they're just these thoughts, these ideologies around how you have to show up in a sales conversation that don't really serve you, and it really disempowers you, and it causes you to do a couple different things. One, you either just don't ask for the sale, you don't ask confidently for the sale, you don't ask for it confidently. You may discount your prices, and so you offer your services at a certain investment level, and then the nerves and the LBs, as I call them, the gremlins, they start, chattering in the back of your mind, and so then you shut down. So we talk about that quite a bit. And if that is where you are at this point in your journey, one of the things I invite you to do is to think about, where did that really come from, right? Like if you spend time thinking about what is coming up for you and where it really stems from, like really take time outside of the work, right? I recommend literally grabbing a journal. I have one that I use, right? I have a journal. I always have a journal somewhere, a pen, and take some time, like go old school, if you will. Don't use your devices, and spend some time writing it out about what is that coming from. And that is one of the things, and one of the reasons why I added that in our Courage Diary, one of the products that we offer here at the agency, is that as you are tracking your sales conversations, what are some of the things that are coming up for you? And the best time to capture that is after you've had a sales conversation, and you could tune into the feelings, maybe some of the thoughts that have been popping up in the back of your mind. Where is that coming from? Right? And taking the time to identify it and then determine, is it true? Is there truth to what I am feeling? Is what I'm thinking, is what's coming up for me even true? Because sometimes it's not even true. Sometimes this work actually brings up trauma. I am not a trauma expert. However, if that is something that you notice, a trend, that I invite you to take steps and get professional support, right? Like there are a lot of things that come up for us when it comes to our mindset. And one of the things that I have learned is that mindset changes everything. And I know you hear a lot of people talk about mindset, but your thoughts and your feelings around sales, inviting people to work with you, it changes everything. So if you're still in a place where that is an issue or a challenge, Now you now have an opportunity to address it, because now as you learn different skills around sales or strategies, you're like, oh, I love that. That really aligns with my values. I want to implement it. Great. But you don't have the mind chatter there anymore that's holding you back. So during this season, as we are literally shifting seasons, I invite you to take some time to really just look at, what's going on, what's happening in my sales process. What are some of the thoughts that are coming up for me? How are any of these true? Is this just old thinking, old chatter? Some things that I just need to spend some time just kind of, cleansing. Maybe I need to get professional help. Maybe I don't. But either way, now you are starting to really pay attention to that so that you can now address it moving forward. This is also a great time to really start evaluating, because we just finished a quarter, right? So we're just wrapping up Q1, shifting into a new quarter. So you now have at least a quarter's worth of data, depending on how far back or even how your fiscal year operates. But we have one quarter in 2022 to demonstrate where you are in terms of what your goals were during the next 12 months, right? And so you're looking at your goals for Q1 and you're like, this isn't looking exactly the way I thought it might look. Then there's an opportunity there again to let's do an audit. Let's take a look at what's really going on. And is any of that tied to your thinking? Here's the other thing that I want to add to this conversation today is that it's not just in the actual conversation, right? I know I talk a lot about sales conversations because that's what I do. I have a lot of those. But when you are pulling together your marketing and you're doing things, whether you're speaking or social media or whatever it is that you're doing to attract clients to you, then if that same thinking is a thinking that went into creating that content, you're already guiding and attracting people that resonate with whatever that is. And if that is not in alignment where you really need it to be, you're going to start to see that show up in the people that you actually converse with, right? And so it's important to not only take a look at the conversations you have, because one of the challenges that I get a lot when clients come to me is, you know what, I'm having the conversations, Dr. Nadia. I am doing the thing that you have encouraged me to do. And I'm like, yes, this is great. What's going on in those conversations? And sometimes I'm talking to a lot of people, but they just aren't my people, right? So then that then isn't necessarily you conversing, right? Like that, we got to back it up a little bit. What are you doing in your marketing to attract those people to even, submit a form and sit down and schedule time to talk to you, to pull up a seat at your virtual table and say, hey, what's up, right? So we have to take a moment to really evaluate the thinking that goes into everything related to our businesses as it relates, especially to our sales process. Okay. So just putting that out there because I know it's important. And then there's another group that I want to address as well today. There are those that have already, like Dr. Nadia, we've been in it. We have been in this. We have been having sales conversations. We've talked to hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people, like conversation after conversation after conversation. And that's great, right? Because you learn so much in these conversations about your ideal clients, about the people you definitely do not want to work with, how well your marketing is working. You gain valuable skills and strengths in having those conversations, which is why I love them so much. Great. But one of the things that can happen, and I invite you to take a moment to look at this, to almost take the trash out, if you will, is that if we are not careful and having so many of these conversations with so many different people, we also have to look at the stories that we may now have about the people or about others or even about ourselves, right? So you do this work and you talk to a lot of different people from all over, different backgrounds, different places they live in the country or in the world, and they bring their stories to you. And after a while, because now you have experience, you're no longer new to this, you're no longer afraid to talk to people. However, you now have a different challenge or opportunity in that you may need to go back and do a refresh, because it's really tempting to then get into a season or a space where I already know that, right? So one of the things that I work hard to do is to maintain a posture as a student. So yes, I teach this, I love it, and I am also a student. So there's always room for improvement and always opportunities for me to go back and evaluate even my own mindsets or even the stories that I may tell myself that then impact how I show up for prospects, potential clients, right? Whether it's for my company, my agency, or on behalf of a client. And so I think it's important that we set aside this time, whether it's daily, it's probably best to do it daily. Best to do it daily or after every single call, or at least monthly or whatever the timing, the rhythm that works best for you is to go back and say, you know what? I heard a lot today, especially on those days when you get a lot of no's, right? I heard a lot. And while I have the opportunity to evaluate the information that I gleaned, I also have the opportunity to not make those stories my reality, right? And so I think it's important that while we pay attention to the clues, because the clues do provide a wealth of information, it's also important that as we continue to grow and evolve as business leaders, as CEOs, as sales professionals, whatever that title is for you at this stage in your life and your career, I think it's important that we also go back and evaluate where we are now. We have our own blinders on because we've been doing this so long, and we've put in our own kind of tactics to help us, maintain our sanity and our well-being and maintain a certain level of upbeatness during the type of work that we do. I think it's important that we do evaluate our mindsets and what's coming up, because if not, then we find ourselves in our own rut and we're believing our own stories or stories that we borrowed from others and made them our own. And now they're impacting our ability to move forward. And so as we are in this season of change, and as we are literally changing seasons, going from winter into spring, I invite you to do some spring cleaning mentally. What are some of the things that you need to go back and evaluate? Some of the stories, some of the experiences, some of the disappointments, some of the hurt, some of the failures, some of the mistakes, like whatever any of that stuff is, some of the fear, we all have fear, right? And go back and take some time. And again, I encourage you, old school, paper, pen, and write it down. And then ask yourself some questions. One, is this true? You may even want to look at, where did this come from? Where did this even come from? Right? The other thing is, what do you believe to be true? And invite yourself to create a different reality about yourself, about your clients, about what it is that you desire in your business. This is something I've always found fascinating, ever since I've embarked on this journey of really understanding sales and getting better for myself, but then just being around a lot of different types of sales professionals. It always baffled me, people who would speak negatively about prospects and treat them sometimes poorly, in my opinion. It's my opinion. And then be surprised, like genuinely surprised, shocked and appalled when those people didn't move forward, right? So it's important to pay attention to those conversations, whether they are literally verbally with someone else or even internally in your own mind. What are you saying? And how are you saying it? And how are you treating people, right? Because if you are mistreating people and being disrespectful, I can tell you that in this season of change, that there's a lot less of that being tolerated by your prospects. And you're going to eventually start to see that, if you haven't already, show up in the results that you actually achieve. Okay. So different schools of thought, but ultimately it's the same assignment, whether you're new or seasoned or somewhere in between. Take some time to evaluate the conversations that you are having, both internally in your mind, externally, verbally, whether it's with colleagues, your coach, your peers, your mastermind. What are the things that you are saying and thinking and feeling that then shows up when you are in conversations, or sometimes even before, because now we're looking at your marketing, your emails, your social media posts, like so that all that stuff starts to bubble up sometimes. And so just start to pay attention to that and anything that's no longer serving you. Maybe it worked in the past, but it's not working anymore. If it's not serving you, and definitely if it's not true, let's go ahead, do some spring cleaning, take it out, right? Take the trash out, clean the things up. Let's get our minds right so that we can not only grow our businesses, but we can show up and serve so well, serve our prospective clients just as powerfully as we serve them once they become clients, right? And the only way that we can do that at the highest levels is we have to get our mind right. We have to get rid of any stinking thinking that is standing in our way and preventing us from really showing up powerfully and from a place of service in our sales conversations. Anything less than that, we are not doing our jobs well. Got it? All right. So this is part 1 in our spring cleaning series. Super excited about all the information we'll be sharing over the next several weeks. I am Dr. Nadia, founder of the Doing It Agency. And if you're like, you know what, Dr. Nadia, look, this sounds fabulous and I need some help, right? Outside, like help in Nadia's realm and what we do here at the agency, then I would love to invite you to attend our next upcoming Tighten Up Your Sales Game training. One of the things we talk about is your mindset and getting that right in order to be more powerful and confident. That's something you're definitely interested in. We would love, this is my personal invitation for you to come join us. Head on over to tightenupyoursalesgame.com and to learn more details and to reserve your seat. I look forward to seeing you there. Again, this is Dr. Nadia, founder of the Doyen Agency and creator of Straight Talk About Sales. Signing off. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.